This week on Barely Homesteading, we talk about installing the gates to finish off our garden fence. So the next thing we need to do for the garden fence is to put in the gates. Now, the gates are probably the weakest point in your entire defense of the garden, other than maybe the open top. And so we want to make sure that the gate is nice and strong and that it's going to last a long time. So to that end, I really like using these gate kits. It doesn't necessarily need to be this brand, but it gives you a way of very quickly putting together a strong gate. It's not gonna sag, and that is gonna last a long time. So we're gonna put that together now. So one of the nice things about these gate kits is you just follow the instructions, and it basically shows you how to build a gate that's perfectly sized for your opening. Now, one thing that I have found with these gate kits in the past is while the brackets are usually really good, the screws that come with the kits are usually not so great. Now, the screws that came with this kit actually aren't too bad. They seem to be pretty good size, but they're a little short. And so I'm gonna use some different screws that are significantly longer in order to get a better and stronger gate. And I'd recommend that you look at that the same if you use these kits. Look at going with a different screw so that you get a stronger hold. And that's really all there is to it for getting the frame of the gate done. Very fast, very quick, and it's very strong. Now we're going to attach the fencing to this. We're not going to do slats like a normal fence. We're doing the regular welded wire fencing that we're doing on the rest of the garden. And so we're going to do that next, and then we'll put the hardware cloth over the bottom again to try to keep out some of the smaller vermin. All right, now we're ready to attach the gate to the post of the fence. Now this is a lot easier to do with two people, but I'm the only one around this morning. Everyone else is out doing things. So I'm just gonna do this myself. I've got some 2x4s underneath the gate to raise it up so that it's not dragging on the ground as it swings. We're gonna attach one screw to the top hinge first. Then with that one screw in there, that gives us a little bit of stability on the top. And then we're going to adjust the bottom so that it is level, and then attach another screw on the bottom hinge. All right, so we want to get this level. Let's go out just a little. Looks pretty good. Now that we've got a screw on the top and a screw on the bottom, we can actually take out these 2x4s. And that looks pretty good. So let's get the rest of the screws in. One half the gate's in, just have to build the other half and put it in. Now, in addition to the better screws, there are two other things that will make assembling these gates much easier. The first thing is having nice straight boards. You don't want any boards with any bends, twists, or bows to them. You want them nice and straight. And then the second thing is having a large flat area where you can lay out the entire gate and assemble it. Having that flat surface where all of the boards can sit flat and attach the hardware is going to make for a much straighter, squarer gate when you're all finished. So on these gates, we're putting two gates in each section. One of the gates we're going to make semi-fixed. In other words, it's going to be closed and remain closed most of the time. And then the other gate will be the primary gate. The way we're going to semi-fix this gate is by putting a cane bolt on the top and bottom and keeping those cane bolts closed most of the time. But when we need to get some larger piece of equipment in here like the tractor, we can open both gates and get the tractor through. So to attach the cane bolt, what we're going to do on the bottom is we've got a piece of 3/4 inch UV resistant PVC, about 9 inches long. I've cut an angle on the end, so it's kind of like a needle, and we're going to pound it into the ground, and that will give the somewhere for the cane bolt to sit. That is going to be somewhat affixed to the ground and have easy clearance for the cane bolt to be open and shut, and not have to, put any sort of cement or more permanent attachment point in the ground. So first we need to find out where that goes. Right there. And it's moving on me, which means I'm hitting a rock. All right, it's moving, so I'm hitting a rock. Well, actually, it looks like it might be a big root. And a rock too. All right, take two. Now that we got the rock removed, right there. All right, so when doing this cane bolt, you need to make sure that you put the top bracket, if you've got these stops on it, high enough so that the bolt will actually leave that PVC tube. And then it'll go down and engage the tube. Now the lower bracket you want as low as possible, but you don't want it to be able to come out when you lift it up. All right, and that's the lower cane bolt. You can just lift it up, and the gate will open. Now on the top, it's a good idea to have a hard stop for the gate to hit. So if there's a big wind and you're going through the gate, it doesn't want to overextend the gate. It'll hit the hard stop. So we're just going to use a piece of 2x6, attach it to the top, and that'll give a hard stop for both of the gates to run up against. Now we're going to drill a hole into the hard stop for the upper cane bolt to be able to go into.
Daddy, Mommy.
I've got to make sure that's... Right. This is the bracket for the upper cane bolt. I'm going to just put it on here and make sure that my hole is the right depth away from the front of the hard stop so that cane bolt can actually go up into the hole. All right, upper cane bolt is in. And so as I said, this gate is now semi-fixed. Gives us a good place to latch on the other gate. Now all we need to do is put the latch on the gate side and we're done. All right, gate's in. Now the weakest point in defending this garden with our fence will always be the gate, especially when it comes to land critters. Obviously, birds and things are going to be able to fly in through the top unless we do something to cover that top of the fencing. So to fortify our gate, we're actually going to replace the area underneath the gate with a stone foundation, a stone threshold. To prep for that, we've dug out about 10 to 12 inches down underneath the gate and have filled it with gravel. This gravel is going to serve a couple of purposes. One, it's going to allow water to drain down through rather than sitting underneath that rock. The second is this gives us something that the burrowing critters are going to hit and hopefully get deterred away from the gate, because this gravel is much harder to burrow through than just the regular soil is. So the first thing that we need to do before putting in this rock threshold is we need to set the PVC pipe for the cane bolt for the bottom of the temporary stationary gate. And so this will make sure that we put the rock around it rather than having a rock right here and then have to come in with a hammer drill and drill a hole into the rock. So we start off, because we're dealing with large rocks, by dry fitting them together to get a general shape of how we're going to put them in, because these are so large. Once we put them in, we don't want to have to move them if we don't need to. Now, when you're using regular rock, you've got a lot of irregular edges, a lot of irregular surfaces. So you're looking for rock that have a nice flat surface that you can use as the top, so that you get an even gap underneath the gate. That way you don't get a large gap in certain spots where vermin can crawl underneath and get into the garden. Now, you don't have to use natural stone. You could use brick or pavers for this as well. That costs money. We've got lots of stone on our property, so that's why we're using the natural stone. But this is not the only material that you could use for this particular project. So with the gates installed and the threshold under the gates put in, we've got a very good defense for the garden. Be able to keep the large critters and hopefully even the small critters out, and protect that garden that we have put in, and hopefully get as much out of that garden as possible. And we'll let you know later this year how we did with both the defense and how much we got from that garden planting. So until then, this is Lumberjack from Barely Homesteading saying, use it up, wear it out, make it do, or do without. Please like and subscribe. See you later.